hate to keep giving her attention or whatever, but like, yeah, there was like, that, I think she was on like Meet the Press with Chuck Todd, but occasional Cortex, she was saying like, oh, there are immigrants in this country that are more American than American citizens. It's like, how does that fucking track? It's like, what? Because they want to be here, because they really, really, really want to be here, so that makes them more American than actual American citizens.
The thing with that, it's like, listen, I'm not anti-immigration. Like, I'm fine. Like, if you
I
want to
mean, yeah,
come
I'd be
here
an
legally,
idiot. I mean, for me, I'd be an idiot to be anti-immigration because my family is immigrants. We're like I'm the first generation American in my family, and
yeah,
so
exactly. And and based off of like legal immigration, this country is become what it is. And I was actually talking with some people on over the weekend after we through like work and stuff, and it's like, the great thing. What I always say is that the great thing about the United States is we're not based off of a a bloodline or a race or even like a religion in a sense. I mean, we're at least we don't have like a state religion per se. So our country is not based off of that. It's based off of an idea of where you're given liberty to, you're not stuck in a, some caste system where, if you're born, as a
yeah,
low
looking at you,
class,
India.
yeah, if you're born into like a poor lower class, well, that's where you're going to remain. That's where your descendants will be for all eternity. No, you can start from ground zero, don't have two nickels to rub together, and you end up becoming a multi-billionaire because of hard work. And
Right.
vice
Well, here,
versa, you
yeah.
could start off with everything handed to you. You have that silver spoon, just based off of random, like, you got born into the right family, but you can piss that all away. So
Well,
you can
because here's
start
the
from the
thing. Yeah,
top, head to
I
the
don't. I
head to the pit.
fundamentally reject the notion that America is a country of immigrants. I think America is a country of badasses.
Yeah,
Because you
it
have to
really
because you
is.
have to be a badass. You have to be a doer to actually make a place for yourself here. And I think like because of like welfare and shit like that. I think it's just brought in an unsavory element. Let's just say it like that. And there's no incentive. Now people come here because they know they're gonna get a handout, and so there's no incentive to actually put in work or or to actually hustle. I mean, my parents, they both came here. They both they both went to work right away. My dad got multiple certificates in various things, and he created a business for himself. My mother, she just she constantly just worked. And my mom, uh, living in this country for going on over 30 years, is barely conversational in English, and yet she has been able to hold down a job, um, for as long as I can remember.
Right. And
And
so,
so
yeah,
yeah, so
despite all the
it's
obstacles,
not about just being an immigrant. You just have to be a badass, and
yeah.
I probably say that I come from badasses.
Well, and that's the thing too, is like, I respect that because you're coming to a place that is completely
Right? Yeah.
different language, different environment, yet you buy into the idea of like, that's why it's everyone, well, and we want everyone, all the people that want to be here, that want to work, want to do all these things, contribute to this grand experiment. I want those people, and it does take a level of that to come and do that. Where it's scary to think about it. Like just if I was to move to another country and I, I had a whole new culture, that's scary.
Yeah, absolutely. But before we get into another rabbit hole situation, let's just wrap things up with the motor thing. Yes, there was no collusion. Um, the,
Surprise,
uh,
surprise.
the leftist biased media um, are going to have to eat a whole lot of crow after this, and I don't think they'll be harmed monetarily per se, but in anyone with two brain cells left in their head is never going to trust what they have to say when it comes to politics or Trump for as long as we have him.
Yeah. But yeah, not surprised that there was nothing found.
Yeah. Let's just do a quick rally back. It's funny because, or it's interesting, I should say, because I was talking with a friend of mine the other day, and let's just say that he has some issues, and he was recounting the story of this cable guy that came over to his place to do some sort of repair, and he felt that that this cable person was being racist towards him, and so
All right.
yeah, and so I asked him. It's like, oh well, what did he do, or what did this cable guy do? And immediately, he said like, oh yeah, he was white, and he was kind of talking down to me like I don't know English. It's like, well, you were speaking English to him, right? And he was like, yeah. It's like, and you're sure that this guy just wasn't being a jerk? Uh, and he's like, no, I could tell the difference, but for sure he was being racist towards me. And I'm like, but of all like everything that he had told me and the way he had described his interaction, it's just I couldn't say that this cable guy was being racist towards him.
It's like some people are just dicks. It's okay.
Right? I know. It's like some people are just dicks, or maybe you just took it the wrong way. Maybe because I guess my friend asked the cable guy a question, and I guess the technician or whatever was explaining something, and maybe he just took the intonation or inflection in the guy's voice to be condescending or racist. Although again, I don't know how, because I said it's like, how do you know he was being racist? How do you know what's in this guy's heart? And he was just like, oh, I could just tell. It's like you could tell what's in this guy's heart.
That's you have no authority in that to make that type of judgment.
I know, right? I mean, again, and then I told them like, yeah, if it would be totally different if he said like, hey, listen to me, Ching Chong. This is the thing that's wrong with your cable box or something. Then obviously yes. But I was like, but he didn't. But I asked him straight up. I was like, but he didn't use any racial slur or epithet. And he said no. I was like, well, then again, how can you tell what is in this man's heart? How can you? Isn't it more likely? What is that? Not Occam's razor, but I forget what the expression is. But it's basically uh, don't
Malice
ascribe.
where you,
Yeah, don't ascribe malice where like ignorance is more likely.
yeah.
And so yeah, so it's more likely that this guy was just being a jerk. Maybe he was maybe he was having a bad day, and he was maybe being a little curt towards my friend. Or maybe even more likely a scenario is that my friend just took it the wrong way, and because again, my friend is someone who kind of has issues, and let his own insecurities get in the way. Just perceive the
Yeah.
situation wrongly.
That's that's most likely the case.
Right.
Uh, you know, we have been kind of like almost brainwashed or whatever to where we think like, oh, everything is like racist or whatever, and it's 90. I would say 90% of the time. No, I would 95% of the time. More than likely that's not the case.
Right.
There's a very small section of people who actually are just dumb like that, but it's so few.
Right. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's like this false. It's the what's that? I can't think of that term, but it's basically making it seem like there's more, like artificially inflated. It's artificially inflated. It's like the number of like KKK members. It's like, yeah, there's like 3,000 people. It's like maybe 3,000 members, maybe in the entire country. 3,000 out of like 330 million people. That's not a lot.
Right.
And
And you
again,
have
like
like
because I don't know, my friend with the brainwashing, like he said, like, oh, it's like because it was I guess because it was a white guy, it was like worse that what had happened to him. I was like, well, that how can it? Why isn't it just not wrong? In general, why is it like? Because he said like, oh, it's especially wrong because it was a white guy, and I was just like, how why can't it just be wrong? And it's like, well, yeah, of course it's wrong, but but then again, he made like a special qualifier because this technician was a white guy. That's like it's somehow like more egregious that he was supposedly being racist. Whereas he
doesn't
himself was being racist towards this technician, and he like for some reason he couldn't see it. I was like, well, you're being racist towards this this white guy. Is that wrong? And again, isn't that's wrong too? And he's like, yeah, but because he's white, because white people are the majority, that makes it worse. I was like, then go back, then go back to Korea, go back to Mexico or wherever like you're the majority.
that well, and here's the thing too, because this is a conspiracy that's created that it's this America is this horrible racist place, which it's
Mm-hmm.
not. Um, and you have um, it's shit. What was I going to say? No, the when it comes to this stuff, it's people are saying like, oh, how America it's built off the back of slavery and all this, like, this Howard, like, we've killed off all the Indians, and it's like, okay, obviously they read too much Howard Zinn back in high school and college. Um, but if you really believe that, yeah, and you're like, oh, we need to, it's wrong that America was built off the back of all this stuff, and it's like, okay, if you really believe that, why are you here? Because based off of that premise, you're partaking in that. You're complicit. So you're benefiting based off of that.
Right.
So
Like
shouldn't
the
you leave
idea,
and go
and
to some place that's not like that? Which, let's be honest, the rest of the world is a hell. You want to look for racism, go to anywhere else, to be honest.
yeah, and I mean, like the idea that because if you're part of the majority, then you're automatically vilified. So let's say So let's say a white person goes to China, relocates to China, lives there, and the white person experiences racism constantly. So does that mean all Chinese people are evil? Because they're the majority in that country,
Right.
and and like that doesn't make any sense. And I mean, I don't mean to paint my friend to be, um, a horrible person or anything of the like. I've known him for a really
No.
long time, and he just he has issues, and sometimes he gets in a sometimes he gets in a certain mind frame, and he goes off the he comes apart.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like he's been conditioned into this psychosis that the left has created, where it's almost like you're schizophrenic, where it's like, yeah, you're racist. It's like, I mean, you're looking where it's like, ooh, that guy's looking at me. He's probably thinking about some racist thought. That's not happening. The guy probably wasn't even looking. It's like you're looking for stuff and seeing stuff or hearing stuff that's just not true.
Robert, you still there? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Oh, yeah. So I think yeah, the connection skipped a little bit. So whatever like your point was, and then like you
no,
landed and
yeah, no, because I saw you move, and I was gonna let you react, and then it just kind of nothing happened. So,
yeah, because I
but I'm
think
saying
like it was you're reaching your point, but then like the connection like skipped, and then we missed your point, but you probably stuck the landing, but we you didn't get the point. But yeah, like yeah, it's funny because like he always keeps coming to me to talk to me about like the news and things like that. And okay, now oh good, Bob. He keeps coming to me to talk about the news,
no,
and
I'm still here.
he always tries to, and he always asks me to get my take on things. And I do, and I give it to him, and then like he seems fine, but then he comes back and is like, oh yeah, all white people are messed up. I'm just
Yeah, it's uh, yeah, and that's the thing that this is, like I said, it's a conspiracy that has just been perpetrated so much that you lie enough about something, and it eventually becomes the truth in a ton of people's minds.
right. It's just yeah, it's just like the this whole like victim narrative ideology is so thoroughly penetrated, academia and media, that it's gonna take a really long time to deprogram that stuff out of people's heads. I mean, because it'd be if imagine if I had the same kind of victim mentality and made out all of my either failures or lack of success on other people, or it's like, oh yeah, the man's keeping me down, they don't make they're keeping crippled people down like me, and what special treatment and blah 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 blah.
And
We probably wouldn't be
that's
we
a
probably
way
wouldn't be friends.
for yeah, it's like that's the thing, is like um that's what the media and a lot of these people want. Like there's we have this freedom, but that's how they control you. They keep you in this victim mentality that you're trapped there, you're stuck there. It's kind of like we were talking about with like the caste system. It's like you're stuck there. You're held down, and if you vote for me or you listen to me, like you'll see the truth, and maybe you'll be free. like that's not what they're trying to do. They want to these people want to subjugate you into believing that you're because you're disabled you're black or Asian or whatever. It's that you're just just terrible. And it's like you're never enjoying your freedom that's God. Basically, like our whole idea of America is like you have all these freedoms that it's not the government didn't give them to you. It's God given freedom.
Yeah, they're inherent
And
rights that exist whether there's a government or not. Like you're
exactly.
right,
And
the right to say whatever you want, is there whether there's a government or not. Your right to defend yourself is there whether there's a government or not. The right to, a fair trial to be, heard by a jury of your peers. That's still like, that. I mean, it should exist. I mean, the likelihood of it existing
right.
outside of a kind of a system, but you get what I mean.
Right. And it's like and now it is true in history, like it hasn't always been fully actualized, but
Mm-hmm.
that's not the case today. I want name me one law that keeps all these people hindered and subjugated and deemed less than human
Right,
almost. It's
yeah,
not there.
yeah, and then of course they'll codify that's in the law, that's in the Constitution, and of course they'll always say like, oh, well, what about like the like the banks that target like low income people with like all these subprime loans and things like, yeah, but that's not the government.
That was the left.
Like, well, yeah, but that's also not the government.